Imagine a normal world. Until one day, giant insects suddenly appeared and began attacking humans, overtaking the major cities. In the midst of the chaos, wars broke out in a desperate attempt to reclaim the land, but not even the strongest military forces were able to stop the monstrous creatures known as Zergs. With no options left, humanity evacuated the populated areas and started living in isolated shelters. For a while, all hope seemed lost, until a new light appeared. Some humans began awakening mystical powers, strangely linked to the very disaster that brought the Zergs. And just like that, a new kind of war began, one fought not only with weapons but with magic and spirit contracts. This is the world our protagonist lives in, and now he must face it on his own. 100 years ago, a massive meteor crashed into the continent. The impact was devastating, but it wasn't just the explosion that changed everything. The meteor carried eggs, which scattered across the land. When they hatched, swarms of giant insects emerged and launched a brutal war against humankind. Humanity stood no chance. Cities fell and large parts of the world were lost. Years later, though, humanity discovered something: an ability to form spirit contracts, powers that differed between men and women. Women awakened their spirits upon reaching adulthood, while men had to contract their talent through a spiritual master. These contracts were humanity's salvation, allowing them to fight back and defend the last remaining corners of civilization. Now, 100 years after the catastrophe, at Kinten Academy, a young student named Gulin steps forward during the annual awakening ceremony. She attempts to conjure her weapon and successfully summons a C-rank sword. But she's disappointed. She was hoping for something stronger. Next in line is Shiai. She places her hand on the glowing crystal, and in an instant, her spiritual power surges through her body. From this energy, a powerful spear materializes. The teacher is stunned. It's a rare S-rank weapon, something almost unheard of at the academy. Even the other students are taken aback, especially the boys, who praise her strength and her beauty. One of them mentions she already has a boyfriend, but the moment Shiai walks over to him, she dumps him coldly. She says she awakened an S-rank weapon, and there's no point staying together if they're not in the same league. She tells him not to contact her again. Everyone laughs at the boy. That boy is Hanzan, our protagonist. He watches her walk away and wonders, does she really think I'm the same fool who used to obey her every word? In the past, he was completely devoted to her, blindly following her like a lovesick puppy. She took advantage of him, used him for everything, and never gave anything back. But now he sees the truth. In the era of spirit contracts, power is everything. He's done being her lapdog. While the others mock him, Hanzan calmly warns them, "Aren't you worried I might awaken an S-rank or even higher?" His ex scoffs, saying S-rank talents are incredibly rare, and there's no way someone like him would have won. Then, it's his turn. Hanzan steps forward and places his hand on the awakening stone. But nothing happens. The stone doesn't respond. Shiai smugly comments that she expected nothing less. No power and no rank. What a loser. The crowd erupts in laughter. But then, a blinding light bursts from the crystal. The power floods the room as everyone gasps. The awakening has begun. And from the center of that light, a contract emerges, an SSS-Rank contract. Something never seen before in over 100 years. Even Shiai is speechless. She didn't even know SSS-Rank contracts existed. The other students stare in disbelief, unable to accept what they're witnessing. This has to be a mistake. One mutters. Otherwise, he's about to become the strongest human alive. Meanwhile, the girls start circling Hanzan, hoping to win his favor now that he's awakened something beyond legendary. One by one, they offer to be his girlfriend, trying to catch his attention with their charm. But Hanzan isn't interested. He coldly rejects all of them. He doesn't want shallow attention, he wants strength. He wants answers. His system finally activates, alerting him of his new attributes. Just as he's about to explore them, his ex returns, tail between her legs, begging him to forget what she said earlier. Hanzan stares at her. Thanks to his system, he can now see her stats, and realize just how far below him she truly is. As she rambles on, he doesn't even hear her words. He's focused on the data. And then, he turns away. He ignores her completely. She calls after him, refusing to give up, saying this isn't over. But for Hanzan, it is. As soon as Xiaomi turned away from Hanzan, the same girls who had once mocked him began laughing at her. The tables had turned, and now the once admired girl was being ignored. They quickly shifted their attention to another girl. A quiet, pretty one they all dismissed as weak. "She's just a cute face," they whispered, doubting she'd survive long in the academy. That girl's name was Xia Wei. She overheard them calling her useless and felt a sting in her chest. "Why do they treat me like I don't belong?" she wondered, tears welling up in her eyes. As she ran away in frustration, she accidentally bumped into someone. She was about to fall, but a strong hand caught her. It was Hanzan. Concerned, he asked if she was all right. Embarrassed and flustered, she nodded. But as he looked at her more closely, his system activated, and what he saw left him stunned. This girl, she wasn't ordinary. She was one of the 10 ancient divinities. Yet, somehow, she had awakened at rank E, one of the lowest possible. Why? He wondered. Xia Wei apologized and quickly stepped back. But Hanzan gently patted her head and said, "How about forming an exclusive spiritual contract with me? Become my ally." That single sentence caused an explosion of jealousy among the other girls. They couldn't believe it. They thought they were stronger, more beautiful, more worthy. Some of them even threatened to fight Xia Wei just to earn a place at Hanzan's side. But before things could escalate, a powerful voice cut through the chaos. Shengguang Pu, the headmaster of Kinten Academy, had arrived. He praised Hanzan's boldness but warned him, "A contract like this must not be made lightly. Someone like you is destined for greatness. Your duty is to protect all of humanity." Xia Wei agreed with the headmaster and said her powers didn't deserve a place beside someone like Hanzan. That's when another figure appeared, Zhu, the guardian of the Deep Blue City. He had felt the commotion caused by Hanzan and showed up in person. Xiaomi was thrilled to see him. It was her godfather. Zhu looked at Hanzan and asked, "So, did you use your rank SSS to bully my precious goddaughter?" He warned Hanzan that no one in the city would dare to form a contract with him, and that he should be more grateful. Xiaomi jumped in, saying that if he apologized to her godfather, she'd consider forgiving him, and maybe even form a contract. But Hanzan looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Are you even worth it?" Zhu's face twisted with rage at the insult and he raised his hand to strike. But Hanzan didn't even flinch. Before the blow could land, the headmaster himself intervened, blocking the guardian's attack. "You'd strike a newly awakened SSS-Rank student?" he warned. "I'll be reporting this." Zhu, forced to back off, said he would leave Hanzan alone, on one condition. He must form a contract with Xia Wei. To Zhu, this was a punishment, forcing the most powerful awakened to pair with someone weak. Hanzan didn't hesitate. "I'll do it," he said, "and no one can change my mind." Turning to Xia Wei, he added, "Let's form this bond." Xia Wei apologized, saying she didn't mean to cause trouble, but Hanzan reassured her. "There's nothing to be sorry for," he said. "I know you'll be a great help." With that, he initiated the contract. Energy surged between them as his powers enveloped her. Moments later, the contract was sealed. The bond was so powerful that it immediately upgraded Xia Wei's rank from E to SSS. Shocked and grateful, she thanked him deeply. The crowd watched, stunned, as the once dismissed girl now radiated a power none of them could comprehend. Hanzan looked at his system interface and saw the contract's bonuses: enhanced kill syncing, regeneration, and musical support techniques. Meanwhile, Xiaomi watched the scene with envy burning in her chest. She turned to Zhu and demanded compensation. But Zhu simply told her, "Teaming up with someone from Hankier is your punishment. It'll make his life in the city harder." He added that he had already arranged a contract evaluation for Xiaomi. When he asked how she planned to thank him, she replied with a smile, "Let's go to our special place." Zhu smirked. "Tonight's going to be a good one." A few hours later, he checked his phone and saw it. Negative news about Hanzan was already spreading online. He was thrilled. Xiaomi praised her godfather and smiled. Zhu thought to himself, this is just the beginning. Once the evaluation starts, we'll show him true cruelty. But for now, he would enjoy the company of his precious niece. The next morning, in the academy's cafeteria, rumors about Hanzan and Xiaowei had already begun to spread. People gossiped, mocked, and whispered. Xiaowei, now feeling the weight of all the attention, apologized to Hanzan for dragging him into this. But Hanzan shook his head. Stop apologizing. You're the most beautiful girl in this academy. It's time you start acting like it. He added, let them talk. Soon they'll see what you're really capable of. Just then, a smug student walked over and said, so, you're the genius everyone's talking about? Honestly, I'm not impressed. The boy stepped forward with confidence. His name was Wangle Mao, and he was Xiaomi's contracted partner. But as he introduced himself, Hanzan burst into laughter. Wangle Mao snapped, what's so funny? Hanzan just smirked. Nothing. Just found something amusing. Xiaomi quickly jumped to her partner's defense, telling him not to lower himself to Hanzan's level. She said Hanzan was already a disgrace, and it was only a matter of time before he'd be exiled. Then she urged her partner to hurry. The evaluation was about to begin. Later that same day, inside the evaluation arena, the representative addressed the crowd of students. He warned them that today's trial would be the hardest yet, and that even surviving it would be enough to prove one's qualification. To begin, he called the first pair, Xiaomi and Wangle Mao. The duo stepped into the center of the arena. A massive door creaked open ahead of them, and out came a giant insect, their test target. Wangle Mao looked excited. He immediately borrowed Xiaomi's spear and charged forward, eager to prove himself. But his first strike barely scratched the monster. Frustrated, he gathered more energy and unleashed a much stronger blow, this time slicing the insect in half. The crowd roared in approval. Their performance wasn't just seen by those in the arena. It was being broadcasted live into the room of the academy's elite and mentors. But not everyone was impressed. Eking, the head of the first district, scoffed. That was nothing. This insect was weak. His professor corrected him. Don't speak nonsense. Meanwhile, Ling Wan from the second district chimed in. He pointed out that as a spirit of S-Rank, Xiaomi should have been able to kill the creature in one clean blow. He criticized her contract for lacking discipline, suggesting her spiritual energy was leaking due to a poor lifestyle. Zhu, standing quietly nearby, knew the blame was on him, but he said nothing. Back in the arena, the duo was congratulated for breaking a record, and the crowd praised their teamwork. The bar had been set high, and many wondered if anyone else could outperform them. Then, the announcer smiled and called the next pair, Hanzan and Xiaowei. As they stood before the massive door, Hanzan sensed something strange. The gates opened not to reveal one opponent, but 10. 10 massive flying zergs swarmed out at once. Xiaowei, alarmed, said this was supposed to be a single target test. Why are there 10? The crowd immediately sensed this would be far more intense than expected. The announcer explained that this challenge was scaled based on participant level, and for someone like Hanzan, a rank SSS, 10 enemies was the starting point. Of course, this wasn't by accident. Zhu had quietly arranged this setup earlier, hoping to punish Hanzan for challenging him. But Hanzan didn't flinch. He summoned his weapon, awakened with him during his contract, an instrument that looked like an ancient harp. With a single powerful strum, a wave of sonic energy blasted forward, tearing through the enemies. The crowd fell silent. In under 30 seconds, all 10 insects lay motionless on the ground. Even the mentors in the viewing chamber were stunned. Is that even possible? One of them whispered. Ling Wan muttered, he's strong, but his approach doesn't follow protocol. His difficulty tier was far too high. Zhu pretended to support the test's difficulty, calling it a temporary adjustment for the sake of talent development. But deep down, he wondered how Hanzan could possibly be this powerful. He made a silent promise. Next time I'll send 20. Meanwhile, Iking leaned back with a smirk. He liked what he saw. Hanzan's confidence was overwhelming and justified. His mentor agreed but was curious how far Hanzan could truly go. As expected, the next round began immediately, level 2. This time, 20 Zergs charged in. Without missing a beat, Hanzan activated a musical incantation. As the monsters soared toward him, his harp rang out again, casting a melody of destruction. The Zergs dropped like flies, paralyzed midair, collapsing to the floor. The crowd exploded with applause. His technique was flawless. Among the spectators, Equal, the overseer of the 3rd district, noticed his rival already eyeing Hanzan. "I want him for my team," the rival declared. Equal snapped back. "You're not taking him that easily." Their bickering intensified until Shinzeki from the 4th district tried to cut in. But both rivals shouted at him to shut up. The head instructor had to step in and demand they stop the childish fight. As the room calmed, a quiet suggestion came from the 2nd district: increase the challenge again. The instructor paused, then nodded. "Very well, raise the level." Among them, the one most pleased by this decision was none other than Zal Rol. Back in the arena, the announcer prepared to introduce the next level. The level 5 trial was about to begin, and it was unlike anything the audience had ever seen. From the depths of the arena, swarms of ferocious lizards and thunderbirds emerged, electrifying the battleground. The spectators couldn't believe what they were witnessing. But Hanzan, he showed no signs of fear. Watching from the sidelines, a rival muttered, "He's arrogant." The lizards rushed at him full force, while the birds above launched bolts of lightning. Yet Hanzan remained calm. Gripping his harp, he struck a new chord, this time summoning spiritual warriors to fight by his side. The summoned fighters charged forward, engaging the lizards head-on. At first, they held their ground, but soon, the thunderbirds overwhelmed them. Their lightning broke the formation, disrupting the warriors. Even the arena walls began to crack from the force of the energy. Seeing this, Hanzan swiftly retreated, not to flee, but to reposition. His movements were so fast and fluid, the crowd could barely follow him. He relocated to another area of the arena and strummed his harp again. Another powerful wave of sonic magic burst forward, tearing through the enemy lines and shattering their formation. The crowd was stunned, not just by the spell's power, but by the precision and poise of someone so young. Even the rival students were speechless. This wasn't just raw power, it was battlefield mastery. The announcer finally declared, "Hanzan has cleared level 3. In the control room, the higher-ups couldn't hide their amazement. They watched as Hanzan used music as a weapon of war. Even more shocking was that he had achieved all this while bonded to a spirit who had originally awakened at rank E. At that moment, the professor called for someone. A man stepped forward. His name was Afu. He bowed and asked for orders. The professor told him to analyze Xia Wei's current spirit rank. But Afu couldn't. "This is strange," he said. "It's like what happened with Miss Lingzhen. The awakening stone marked her as rank E, but my ability can't read her current level." The professor blinked. "That makes no sense unless—" He turned to Afu. "What's Lingzhen's talent called?" "Xenon Cauldron," Afu replied. The professor thought deeply. If this girl is really that powerful after contracting with Hanzan, then he and Lingzhen must meet. Meanwhile, Hanzan approached the challenge overseer. "I want to keep going." The man looked shocked but nodded. "If that's your will, let's continue." Level 4 began. New monsters appeared, and just like before, Hanzan crushed them all. His harp's melodies sliced through the arena. His power was precise, elegant, and devastating. "I want a real challenge," he said. "I want to test my limits." So the levels increased. One after the other, he cleared each one, until the arena was littered with monster corpses. When the administrator announced that he'd reached level 9, he offered Hanzan the chance to stop. But Hanzan refused. "I'm going to level 10. "You're insane," the man muttered. "No one's ever survived level 10. Even the audience knew that. All eyes locked on him, waiting to see if he could truly break history. In the control room, the first district leader said, "In my day, reaching level 9 was the absolute limit. No one has gone further in 100 years." The second district leader replied, "This boy is special. I want him in my unit." The two men stared at each other, and then they challenged each other for recruitment rights. Back in the arena, the overseer told Hanzan, "If you insist, I won't stop you. But I must warn you, level 10 is considered impossible." "I understand," Hanzan replied. "Just give me a moment to prepare a melody." The arena had a rule: no more than 5 minutes for recovery. Hanzan didn't argue. He just sat down, and with a few slow, graceful movements, he began to play a restorative melody. Using his sonic healing abilities, he recovered his energy in real time. Once again, the crowd and even the mentors were stunned. Meanwhile, the district leaders were still arguing over who would get him. That was when a new voice cut through the room. Luan Shun, leader of the 5th district. He questioned if it was truly wise to send such a versatile spiritual contractor, one who could absorb energy and heal himself, to the front lines. "Do you want to waste a prodigy like him?" Someone asked Luan Shun if he wanted to compete for Hanzan too. But before any more chaos could unfold, Lil Jun Chun, another district head, raised a hand. "Let him join my squad. He'll be more useful there." Of course, it made no difference. Everyone still wanted him. And just before another argument could erupt, the master of the academy appeared. He reminded them of the purpose of the 8 great districts of Taixia. The first district leads in decisive battles. The second handles strategy. The third expands the nation's territory. The fourth seeks truth and knowledge. The fifth saves lives. The sixth guards key passageways. The seventh crosses oceans. And the eighth works silently in the shadows. Each has its role. Each has its legacy. And now everyone wants the same boy, but only one will claim him. The 8 great districts of Daixia were known as the pillars of the nation, each of them holding up the sky for those who lived below. There had once been talk of creating a 9th district, but the old master never took initiative. Now, as the leaders looked at Hanzan, the answer to that old question seemed obvious. Then the final test began, and the audience fell silent. Out of the darkness emerged a flame-covered beast, its body radiating overwhelming heat and destructive power. "This," the announcer said, "is the final challenge. Survive 3 minutes against this creature, and you pass." Even the spectators could feel the heat from the monster's presence. But Hanzan, he didn't flinch. He stood still, unshaken, facing down a beast that had terrified every challenger before. Hanzan turned to Xia Wei. "Are you ready?" he asked. She nodded. "No matter what happens, I'll be by your side." With that, Hanzan stepped forward. "I'm not here to survive," he said. "As a spiritual contract master, I'm here to defeat it." The flame beast roared, unleashing waves of fiery destruction. The entire arena trembled. But Hanzan dashed forward, dodging each strike with perfect precision. And then he raised his harp once again. This time, the strings glowed with a divine resonance. As he played, a chant echoed through the arena. His song magic filled the air with wind energy, clashing violently with the flames. The two forces collided, and suddenly, a vortex formed. A mighty gust spun through the arena like a hurricane, tearing through the flames, until the fire creature was ripped apart, disintegrated by the winds. The audience, stunned, could barely comprehend what had just happened. Even his rivals stared in disbelief. He had defeated a monster deemed unkillable. Hanzan, breathing steadily, looked at his harp and muttered, "Executing a high-level sitar melody still causes backlash, but it worked." One of the district leaders stepped forward and congratulated him for clearing every test and breaking the academy record. "Who are you?" Hanzan asked. "I'm Lin Chuan, leader of the 2nd district," the man replied. "I'd like to ask you something. Who do you think will win in the end?" Hanzan replied without hesitation, "The enemy may be stronger, but humanity won't perish." Lin Chuan smiled. He liked that answer. "And what drives you to fight?" I want to stop the enemies from destroying the last of mankind, and I want to bring peace and prosperity back to Daixia. He paused. I want to restore Daya's glory. Just then, another powerful presence entered the room. It was Master Lichotamen, the supreme leader of Daixia. He approached Hanzan and praised him for his strength. Then he asked, "Would you like to become my disciple?" Hanzan immediately recognized him. Lichotamen was a living legend. 100 years ago, during Daya's darkest hour, 3 Zerg emperors had joined forces to destroy the nation. And in that moment of crisis, Lichotamen fought them alone, annihilating all 3 and saving Daixia from annihilation. To be offered discipleship by a man like that was an unthinkable honor. "I'd be proud to be your disciple," Hanzan answered. Tamen smiled. "You're far more suited to be my student than the rest of them." To mark the occasion, he offered a gift. It was a ring, forged from the bones of one of the defeated Zerg emperors. A powerful relic, infused with ancient energy. Hanzan could feel its terrifying aura immediately. "This ring," Tamen explained, "can repel lower-ranked Zergs, but it also draws the attention of stronger ones. If you're afraid, don't wear it." But Hanzan didn't hesitate. "This is a gift from my master. Of course I'll wear it." Lichotamen laughed. "You're nothing like the cowards who tremble at this ring. I like that." Then he told Hanzan and Xiaowei to go rest. "I'll take you both to lunch later. I'd like to know you better." Later that day, they met at a restaurant. Tamen had invited his other disciples to join as well, wanting to formally introduce everyone. Lin Chuan formally reintroduced himself, followed by the leaders of the other districts. Hanzan and Xiaowei bowed politely and greeted them. "No need to be so formal," one leader chuckled. "We're like family now." He mentioned that one leader wasn't present. He had other urgent duties. But just as he said that, the man arrived. It was the head of the 6th district. He casually handed Hanzan a contact card. "Call me if anything goes wrong." And just as suddenly as he appeared, he vanished like smoke. Hanzan blinked. "He's unique." Everyone laughed. Then Lin Duan approached and handed Hanzan a gift. Master Lichotamen raised his glass and offered a toast. "To great work, and to our new students." Late into the night, the group left the banquet. Hanzan noticed the master had clearly drunk too much, but Tamen waved him off. "No need to worry," he said with a grin. "You should take this time to get familiar with your new home." As they entered the building, Hanzan blinked in surprise. "You have a house here in Shenlan City?" Tamen nodded. "It's my wife's hometown." Hanzan was shocked again. "I didn't know you were married." "That was a long time ago," the master said quietly. "Most people know I defeated the 3 Zerg emperors, but no one remembers my wife." There was a moment of silence. Hanzan lowered his head. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up something painful." Tamen simply shook his head. "Just remember this. Treat your companion well. Spiritual partners aren't just tools for battle. They're people too." Hanzan looked up. "Then please, tell me her name. As long as someone remembers her, she won't truly disappear from this world." Tamen smiled faintly. "You're different from the others." He finally said her name. "Lin Mei. During that historic battle, I killed one emperor. She fought the other 2 to the very end. If she were alive today, she'd be far more deserving of the title of savior than I am." After the conversation, Tamen showed the 2 to their rooms. Alone outside, he sat beneath the stars, remembering his wife and the moments they shared. But he wasn't alone for long. Hanzan and Xiaowei quietly appeared beside him. "We didn't want to leave you here alone," Hanzan said. Tamen's gaze softened. "When I look at you too, I remember our youth. If you want to protect the ones you love, then you must be strong enough to do so. And so, I'll teach you martial arts." He channeled his energy and introduced the Bakwin technique. It contains 8 locks tied to 8 key points in the human body. Unlock them all, and you'll break past your limits. Hanzan followed his master's instructions, quickly absorbing the technique, much faster than expected. "What they?" Tamen blinked. This usually takes 6 months. Hanzan replied, I'm just feeling the energy in this place. Tommen smirked. Time for the next step. Without warning, the master attacked. Hanzan was caught off guard and went flying. You're too much of a genius, Tommen said with a laugh. Let me remind you it's okay to be humble. For me, teaching a talented student is satisfying. But for you, having a kinder teacher would probably be better. The next morning, at the academy, Eve, she asked, Still hurting from yesterday? Hanzan smiled. Nah, I feel fine. As they walked, one of the attention-hungry students blocked their path, mocking Hanzan for his performance during the test. Hanzan ignored him. Let's not waste our time, he told Xiaowei. They entered the director's office. I have new orders, he said. According to higher command, you've both been assigned to the Deep Blue City Guardians. You'll start at the bottom, frontline roles. He admitted that this seemed like a waste of their talents, but the order was final. I tried to push back, but this comes from above. Hanzan nodded. This is good. My master told me it's time to move forward. Outside, the troublemakers returned, once again mocking them. This time, Hanzan didn't stay quiet. He punched the ground, stopping them cold. Their leader stepped up, issuing a challenge. Fine, Hanzan said. You'll pay for all this. They clashed. One blow, and his opponent's arm snapped like a twig. But Hanzan wasn't finished. He landed a clean right hook to the face, sending the loudmouth crashing to the floor, unconscious. As the crowd looked on in awe, Hanzan and Xiaowei walked away. The director sighed. Get the medical team. He'll need help. At the Guardian organization's, Master Licho Tommen raised his glass and offered a toast. To great work, and to our new students. Late into the night, the group left the banquet. Hanzan noticed the master had clearly drunk too much, but Tommen waved him off. No need to worry, he said with a grin. You should take this time to get familiar with your new home. As they entered the building, Hanzan blinked in surprise. You have a house here in Shenlan City? After the explanation, the receptionist pointed them toward their squad's assigned room. But as Hanzan and Xiaowei entered, they were met with chaos. The room was an absolute mess. What happened here? Hanzan muttered. A woman inside glanced at them and asked sharply, Who are you two? And what are you doing here? Hanzan stepped forward. I've been appointed the new captain of Squad 0527. A man lying across a couch snorted at the comment. You don't even look like you've finished puberty. And you're supposed to be our new captain? Xiaowei frowned. What kind of attitude is that? Even Hanzan began to wonder, are all the squad members like this? The man got up and smirked at Xiaowei. For someone angry, your voice is awfully soft and delicate. Hanzan didn't like the way he was speaking to his friend. Without hesitation, he punched the guy straight in the face, knocking him down and leaving blood pouring from his nose. Hong Yingwei, one of the squad members, rolled her eyes. You two chat. I'm heading out. Fan, the injured guy, called after her. Leave me some money for drinks. She waved him off. No cash. Aside. This squad is so pathetic we can't even afford liquor. And you still want to lead this mess? Hanzan replied firmly. As long as I'm here, this squad's problems are only temporary. But if wasn't convinced, you're overestimating yourself. We're the lowest ranked team in the Deep Blue City Guardian Corps. In 2 months, the annual dismissal meeting is coming. If we're at the bottom, we're getting kicked out. He explained that demoted teams are sent to the lower districts, places filled with chaos, filth, and brutal living conditions. So if you don't want to die forgotten in a slum, he said, you better run while you can. Hanzan knew exactly what this was. Zru had intentionally assigned him here, hoping to bury him in failure. But he wouldn't let that happen. Xiaowei hesitated. Staying here seems pointless. Hanzan disagreed. Running from your problems only teaches you how to be a coward. The only way forward is to face them. Besides, even if we joined another team, Zru would still target us. No, we stay. And we'll turn this squad into the best team in Deep Blue City and crush Zru's schemes. Afterward, Hanzan approached Hong Yingwei. She didn't even bother to look up at him. How long are you going to just sit there and wait to die? He asked. Should I call you Hong Yingwei or Buin? Her head snapped up. Who are you? How do you know that name? Hanzan introduced himself calmly. Just a small trick of my abilities. If you're trying to threaten me with that, she said coldly, forget it. I'm not here to threaten you, Hanzan replied. I'm offering you a role. Join me. I know you don't really want to give up. And if we work together, I promise it'll be worth it. She studied him carefully. This guy can see through me. That's rare. All right, she agreed. Once won't kill me. Hanzan assigned her the job of organizing missions. I'll take care of the triage, he said. She pulled up 3 mission requests. These are suitable for our current state. Hanzan reviewed them. Low points. Too slow. If we want to climb the rankings, we need something bigger. Hong Yingwei protested. That's reckless. We'd need 6 to 8 members just to survive a mission like that. I know, he said, but those missions are our only shot. You're insane, she replied. If we fail, we lose 10% of our already pathetic points. I'll take full responsibility, he said. Fine, but when this all goes to hell, she sighed, I'll be the one carrying your corpses. Elsewhere, another team was cleaning up a battle zone. They were struggling, unable to complete it on their own, so they waited for reinforcements. Their captain ordered a few members to guard the sewer entrance. No one should be trying this mission solo. But moments later, Hanzan's team arrived. Hong Yingwei warned him about the danger of the area. But Hanzan, along with Xia Wei, suddenly dashed into the zone, telling Yingwei, wait here, we'll be right back. Yingwei blinked in disbelief. Did he just? This task is difficult with a full team, and they just rushed in with only 2. Fuming, she decided she couldn't just stand by. No way I'm letting them die like that, she growled and raced after them. Hong Yingwei eventually caught up with them, albeit a bit late. Just as she reached them, Hanzan calmly turned and said, it's done. She looked past him and saw it. The ground was littered with Zerg corpses. She blinked in disbelief. Did you do all this? Hanzan simply nodded. Mission complete. We just need to collect the valuable parts from their bodies. He pointed at a corpse lying among the monsters. That one's a missing guardian. Yingwei, take him back. As she processed the scene, still trying to wrap her head around how Hanzan managed to take down everything so easily, another squad arrived. They were supposed to be handling the same mission, but what they found was a battlefield already cleared, with all the loot stripped and the enemies already dead. Back in Zru's office, he received the report. Hanzan's team had already completed 2 missions and earned 350 points. Zru's face twisted with rage. He immediately smashed his desk and yelled at his assistant. He thinks just because he found a sponsor, he's untouchable now? He turned to his subordinate. Send word to all other squads. I want them to take every mission in Deep Blue City. Leave nothing behind for that brat. Later that day, Hanzan spoke to his master about Zru's interference. I've heard about what he's been doing, the master said. Do you need help? Hanzan shook his head. Thanks, but I've got it under control. Zru, on the other hand, was more concerned with another issue, the decay within the Guardian organization itself. They've taken the name of protectors of the city, he said, but they've done nothing to actually protect it. His master responded with a heavy sigh. When organizations grow, their inner rot spreads. They get so busy, their purpose starts to rot with them. They need a fire to burn away the dead wood and ignite change. And that fire is you, Zru. But flames can be extinguished at any moment. Zru confessed something else. I've been stuck. I can't break through to the next stage of the 8 deadly fist technique. What should I do? The master looked him dead in the eye. Then remember these 4 words. Between life and death. After dinner, Hanzan finally thought he could relax, until Xia Wei approached him shyly. Can I sleep in your room tonight? He blinked. The house is huge. Why this room? She replied honestly. The master locked all the other doors. Caught off guard, Hanzan hesitated but agreed. All right, but I'll sleep on the floor. But Xiaowei insisted he sleep on the bed instead. After some awkward back and forth, they ended up sleeping together in the same bed. The next morning, Hanzan got up early. Like the day before, he was eager to take on a new mission. But as soon as he entered the team's room, he was surprised to find Ingwei and Ifan already waiting for him. They had discovered his identity and had come straight to his house. Ingwei was the first to speak. I didn't know who you really were last time. I thought you got here through connections. I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
She continued. Now that the higher-ups sent a genius to protect the city, whatever happened before doesn't matter anymore. You'll be useful sooner or later. Ifan chimed in, still skeptical. You've pissed off Zru and offended Hu. That's gonna make life hard for all of us. Worse still, Ingwei revealed that all the missions in the city had already been claimed, every last one. No missions left at all? Hanzan asked. Maybe there are some in other cities, she admitted. Hanzan checked the mission board for Kongai City and found something. I don't get these mission details, he said. Ingwei explained. Taking missions in other cities means traveling. And those roads? They're crawling with high-level monsters. Not long after, the group was speeding down the highway in a 4x4. Sure enough, the insects appeared, trying to intercept them. These things always move in swarms, Hanzan explained. The bigger the group, the more destructive their power. Ifan, who'd been napping in the back seat, jolted awake as the bugs swarmed. The insects began to gather and spiral, forming a tornado. Everyone stared wide-eyed at the sight, except for Ifan, who was too drunk to fully comprehend what was happening. Ingwei, behind the wheel, shouted, Captain, what do we do? Hanzan glanced out the window. They're not targeting us. They're after that caravan nearby. Ingwei asked, Should we help them? Absolutely, Hanzan replied. Drive straight toward them. The order surprised her but also fired her up. She grinned and slammed the pedal, heading full force into the tornado of monsters. In the back seat, Ifan smacked his head from the jolt but pretended everything was fine, trying to. Meanwhile, the caravan under siege was in serious trouble. A girl named Chance Tin was among the passengers being protected at all costs. The team leader yelled, We can't slow down. If we do, we're dead. They knew there was no saving the reinforcements. Their only goal was to keep her safe. The girl protested, desperate to help, but the guards insisted. Your safety comes first. On command, they launched an attack with heavy artillery, but it barely scratched the swarm of insects. Chance Tin could only watch in horror as her defenders were overwhelmed. Her guardian placed a hand on her shoulder. It's an honor to die protecting you. Don't blame yourself. But just as things seemed hopeless, they heard something. A strange hum echoed through the air. A pulse, a vibration, then music. Hanzan had arrived. Using his enchanted harp, he launched a sonic assault from afar, disrupting the storm of insects. The tornado of wings and fangs slowly started to break apart. Inside her vehicle, Chance Tin stared in awe as the whirlwind was torn open by waves of mystical sound. Their two convoys passed each other for a brief moment. She glimpsed the hero playing his harp in the chaos, fighting alone. She didn't know who he was, but she would never forget that face. Hanzan kept playing. The swarm wasn't gone yet. Suddenly, the insects retaliated. Ifan, riding in the truck bed, was struck by a flying spike. He groaned, fell back, and tried to crack a joke. But Hanzan wasn't laughing. You need a healing potion. If I don't pull these spikes out now, you're not walking away from this. Without hesitation, Hanzan removed each piece of shrapnel from Ifan's body. Then he scanned him. Wait, you've got a regeneration trait? Ifan smirked. Yup, practically immortal. Forgot to mention. Hanzan just rolled his eyes and got back to work. Soon after, they reached the target location. Xiaowei pointed ahead. Looks like this is it. Ifan moved forward to scout, then froze. A massive swarm of zergs loomed in the distance. Hanzan turned to Xiaowei. Time to start collecting some real points. He summoned his harp again, this time launching a wide-range sonic barrage. The insects dropped in droves. Ifan and Hong Ingwei watched in disbelief. This wasn't a man. This was a living weapon. A nearby terminal updated their mission progress. All objectives complete. Elsewhere, other squads watched the feed in real time. A group of local warriors sat in silence, stunned. "Who are these guys?" one of them muttered. "They're from Team 0527, Blue Deep City." Their leader's face twisted in anger. He hated outsiders taking missions from their turf, especially if they were getting attention. He slammed his fist down. "We're going to find them." He and a few elites jumped into their vehicle and raced off. One of them laughed. Finally, a fun job, but their captain was serious. When they reached the site, they found a massive dead serpent lying across the path. He scowled. "They've gone too far." He ordered a U-turn, dead set on finding this rogue team. But one of his men warned, "Captain, you shouldn't underestimate them." A black truck was seen leaving the city. The captain punched him in the face. Back at the Guardians' HQ, the third in command, Sumin Chuan, raised an eyebrow. "Why have mission clear rates suddenly spiked in Kang'ai and Deep Blue?" His aide answered, "A squad from Deep Blue has been handling multiple tasks across regions." "Bring me their file," Chuan ordered. A few moments later, as he drank his coffee, the documents arrived. He opened the folder and paused. The squad was marked top priority confidential. Even more bizarre, Hanzan's file was locked with higher clearance than the others. Just then, his phone rang. A voice greeted him from the other side. It was Lin Xian. Sumin Chuan narrowed his eyes. "The second head of the war zone. Why are you calling me?" Back at the headquarters, Lin Chuan made a call to Sumin Chuan with a stern warning. "Stop digging into those files. This is way above your clearance." Then the line cut. Sumin Chuan sat there, stunned. What could possibly be so secret that someone from the top ranks doesn't want me knowing it? Meanwhile, Hanzan was face to face with a powerful beast. The creature lunged, but Hanzan swiftly dodged and countered, striking it down with precision. "Mission complete," he said calmly, and turned to Hong Ingwei. "Check how many points we earned." While she checked, Ifan laughed. "At this rate, we're going to be the #1 team in Deep Blue." But Hong quickly crushed the optimism. "We've got 100 points. We're still dead last." Xia Wei frowned. "How's that even possible? Is someone out there faster than us?" Hong pointed her finger straight at the problem. "It's Zhu again. He's behind this." Hanzan explained that the second-to-last team had 2,300 points. But strangely, the bottom dozen teams were all tied. And that's when it hit him. They weren't completing missions faster, they were splitting points. When one team completed a task, they distributed credit across all 12, keeping them afloat through joint contributions. Technically legal, absolutely corrupt. But Hanzan wasn't fazed. "Let them play their little games. We'll beat them anyway." Later, Hanzan and Xia Wei returned home. Their master greeted them. "How was the trip?" "We earned a bunch of points, but the rankings still don't reflect it," Hanzan said. "But we did manage to save a convoy on the road." The master raised an eyebrow. "That girl from the merchant's convoy. She wouldn't stop asking how to awaken as a powerful spirit. Did she call you unromantic by any chance?" Hanzan chuckled. "Yeah, that's her." The master nodded. "She's Shang Sitten, granddaughter of one of my oldest friends. Their family runs one of the top 5 tech companies, specializing in weapons for spiritualists and regular humans." He added, "The convoy was carrying something meant for me, a gift I was planning to give you anyway." Xia Wei tilted her head. "What is it?" "Innovative potions," the master replied. "They enhance strength, speed, defense, even talent." Hanzan raised a brow. "That sounds too good to be true." "Well, stop standing there and drink it already." They each took a bottle and downed the contents. Moments later, their bodies reacted. The 4 celestial phenomena, wind, fire, thunder, and lightning, began swirling around them. Hanzan's harp lit up with new abilities. Xia Wei felt the surge too. Her power was skyrocketing. The master smiled. Excellent. Don't disappoint me. Just then, Hanzan's phone rang. It was Hong Yingwei. A new list of missions just dropped. You'll want to see this. Hanzan opened it. 3 Zerg Rangers. Each one's worth 3 third-level spiritualists. Without hesitation, he told his team to meet him in Shixia to plan the next move. As he prepared to leave, the master called out, "Busy day already, huh?" Before he could reply, the butler stepped forward. "Sir, we've located Miss Lingzhen. She's in Kangai City, but refuses to return." Later, the full team regrouped. Hong Yingwei wasted no time. "Are we taking the ranger mission or not?" Hanzan nodded. "It's risky, but the points are worth it." Hong warned them, "Even young rangers are dangerous. These things grow fast." Hanzan raised a hand. "Do you know what red alert means? It means if we don't take this Zerg down now, it'll destroy the city once it evolves." He turned to the team. "We're not here just to fight monsters. We're here to protect humanity." The squad leader from earlier grimly explained, "This is the ability of the Wanderer, the Black Veil. It isolates all perception, creating a realm of decay where everything, living or not, rapidly deteriorates into oblivion." Another squad member added, "The higher-ups deployed us to eliminate the Wanderer, so why are missions still being handed out to others?" The captain responded coldly, "The Wanderer is far too powerful. We need a large number of decoys to draw his attention. Until the first wave of cannon fodder arrives, we wait." From a distance, they spotted Hanzan and his squad approaching the perimeter of the veil. Hanzan warned his team, "That swirling mist is the black veil cast by the Wanderer. Be prepared. Once we step inside, there's no turning back." Hong Yingwei asked with concern, "Are you sure about this? Once inside, there's no retreat." Fan shrugged nonchalantly. "It doesn't affect me, so I'm not worried." Hanzan nodded. "We'll all be fine. Just stay sharp." They entered the derelict zone, where a dark and oppressive aura clung to every corner. The air was thick, as though something invisible was draining their life energy with every step. Hanzan noted the unusually strong presence of Zergs and signaled everyone to stay alert. Xiaowei whispered, visibly uneasy, "I feel like something's watching us, like a pair of eyes following me." Shortly after, she flinched. "Did you hear that?" There was a sound, like something crawling. Hong Yingwei placed her hand on the wall and frowned. "It feels like the place is leeching away my life." Fan stated bluntly, "We've got about 30 minutes. If we can't destroy the core of this veil by then, we'll end up as fertilizer for the Wanderer's evolution." They reached a strange black orb embedded in the ground. Hong Yingwei pointed. "Is that the core?" Her teammate confirmed it. "That's the one." As Hanzan approached, the ground beneath him suddenly shifted. What looked solid turned into a dark, sucking mire. Hong Yingwei was pulled in, but Hanzan grabbed her arm, pulling with all his strength. "This is the Wanderer's second gift," Hanzan muttered. "He can drain life but also bestow it, not just to humans, but to tools, weapons, even the ground itself." Xiaowei stepped up. "Then let's face this together." Hanzan drew his magical harp, releasing a wave of sonic strikes that fractured a nearby wall, only for it to regenerate seconds later. "This place, it's more resilient than I thought," he muttered, as the floor itself began to shift. Suddenly, a strange glow appeared above, warning of an incoming Zerg. His harp spirit cried out just in time, allowing Hanzan to dodge the strike. The insect vanished into the cracks of the walls. "Was that real?" Hanzan asked. The harp replied, "You don't have time to wonder. More are coming. Run." Elsewhere in the labyrinth, another squad began to panic as the fog thickened and members became separated. One of them found his captain, frozen and expressionless. Before he could speak, the captain attacked. Unbeknownst to him, he'd already been possessed. A Zerg had embedded itself within him, and as the young soldier approached, it leaped onto him, infecting him too. Back with Hanzan's group, Fan frowned. "The Wanderer's trying to isolate and pick us off." Classic predator tactics. Hongingwei asked, "Can you feel the threads of control in the air?" Fan nodded. "I can cut them, but they don't work on me. I'm immune." She looked at him with a mix of envy and sympathy. Never fearing for your life, not being able to die, is that really a gift or a punishment? Fan shrugged. "Wouldn't know." Frustrated, he muttered, "We're stuck. Why not give up now?" Hongingwei glared at him. "You're nothing but lifeless dust if that's your attitude." Determined, she struck a nearby wall, creating a crack. "You idiot!" Fan shouted as he saw the wall begin to collapse. From the shadows, a towering figure emerges. Hongingwei recognizes the silhouette and warns the group, "It's the captain, stay sharp." Hanzan reacts instantly, dodging just in time to avoid being crushed by a monstrous hand that follows. He quickly regroups with the team, but there's no time to talk. Another massive blow comes crashing down. This time, it's Hanzan who shouts, "Watch out!" as Hongingwei and her partner are nearly obliterated. Acting on instinct, Hanzan grabs both of them, saving them from being flattened. "Stay out of the way," he warns. "This one's not like the others." With his magical harp in hand, he channels energy, waiting for the enemy to close in before releasing a devastating sound attack. As the others back away, it becomes clear this is no ordinary foe. Hanzan explains, "These beasts were summoned by the Wanderer. We need to destroy his core now." Once the Black Veil was unleashed, he fused with this dark domain. The only thing left is that black sphere. Shatter it and we end him. Hongingwei nods. "We'll hold off the beast." "Go," she says, and Fan steps up, activating his immortality shield. "My body can take 6 hits. Go finish this, Captain," he yells, charging at the creature. Hanzan sprints forward, raising his harp. He summons a storm of divine lightning and directs it straight at the monster. The blast is immense, powerful enough to rival mythical gods. The bolt doesn't just strike the beast. It also cracks the black sphere. Fan watches in awe. "We did it." But before anyone can celebrate, Hanzan is blindsided and hurled across the battlefield. A new threat emerges, a full-grown wanderer, radiating power.
Patati kumans.
"You're all doomed," the creature growls. To the group's shock, Hongingwei steps forward, but not to help. She smirks, "I've been waiting to end this. You really thought I was on your side." Hanzan freezes. "Why?" She smiles coldly. "Because I've wanted to annihilate you from the start." But Hanzan sees through the deception. "That's not really you. You've been infected," he explains. The silvery gleam in her eyes isn't natural. It's the signature of a corrosion worm, an infamous 4th-tier insect capable of cerebral erosion, one that should have been eradicated decades ago. The last time it appeared, it possessed a 7th-tier warrior and caused a massacre so horrifying it took an entire army to stop him. And now it's back. Fan steps up again. "Captain, go. I'll buy you time with my immortality." But Hanzan warns him. The adult wanderer has absorbed the energy of the young one, expanding its veil tenfold. "If we run now, we won't even make it out alive. We hold here." The wanderer attacks. Fan throws himself in the way, his shield absorbing the brunt. Behind him, Hanzan begins recovering his strength. "Fan, stall them," Hanzan commands. But Hongingwei charges again under full control of the worm. Fan meets her head-on. "Whether my power is real or not isn't your business," he yells, headbutting her with all his might. The blow knocks the parasite from her, which launches itself at Fan. But he's ready, he catches it and crushes it before it can take over. Still, the adult wanderer isn't done. With a roar, it fires a powerful laser. Fan blocks again with his shield. "How much longer?" he shouts. Hanzan looks up, eyes blazing. "Xiaowei, Fan, you take care of the corrosion worms. I'll take the wanderer." Hanzan hadn't expected to unleash his full strength this early, but now he knew. There was no other way. Gritting his teeth, he tapped into his deepest reserves of power and launched a fierce assault on the towering enemy. Later, in the sterile silence of a hospital room, Hanzan awoke with a sharp cry, disoriented and drenched in sweat. His surroundings slowly came into focus, the four drip, the white sheets, the antiseptic air. Xiaowei sat beside him and softly explained that he had collapsed after the battle. Their master had begun purging the parasitic worms, but since the queen parasite remained elusive, the cleansing was incomplete. The hospital had taken him in to monitor his recovery. Concerned, Hanzan immediately asked about Ifan's condition. Xiaowei explained that he had been moved to the ICU. He had pushed his regenerative abilities to the brink, shielding the others until his bones and meridians were shattered. If not for his unique immortality trait, he would have long succumbed to his wounds. Though alive, he was in critical condition and healing slowly. Just then, a nurse entered and asked if they were friends of the patient named Ifan. When they confirmed, she delivered startling news. Ifan had disappeared from his room. Xiaowei added that their master had ordered the team to continue tracking the parasitic worms independently, and she believed Ifan had gone ahead to hunt down the queen parasite on his own. Hanzan's expression hardened. Ifan's not acting on a whim. He's found something important. He explained that the level 4 parasites could reproduce without mating and split themselves into copies, but if they destroyed the queen, the entire hive would collapse. Ifan must have discovered the queen's location and set out alone. There was more. Xiaowei revealed that the organization had deducted 100 points from their team's score, claiming the mission was only marked as completed because their master intervened. All other participating teams were considered to have failed and were penalized. Hanzan clenched his fist. While we bled on the front lines, they were stabbing us in the back, she continued. The corpse of the Wanderer had been seized entirely by the organization. Every trace, every resource stripped from the battlefield and taken into their vault. Their master made it clear this was a political battle now, and only between the Guardians. Even while still healing, Hanzan refused to back down. Then I'll take back what belongs to us, personally. Not long after, he stormed into the Guardian HQ, his presence like a thunderclap. Bursting through the doors, he shouted for Zru. Startled staff turned to stare. One of Zru's underlings stepped forward and asked Hanzan to calm down, warning him not to cause a scene. But when the man tried to subdue him, Hanzan floored him with a single punch. He stood over the man, smirking. Has anyone ever told you your face just begs for a fist? Gasps echoed through the room as others watched in awe. One punch had been all it took. The underling wasn't done, though. He lunged at Hanzan with a knife, only to be tossed around like a toy before being slammed to the ground again. Just then, Zru emerged, finally revealing himself. Enough, he growled. Hanzan turned toward him, eyes blazing. Took you long enough. Zru asked what he wanted. Without hesitation, Hanzan demanded a formal apology for him and his entire team. Zru raised an eyebrow. Did you send that footage to the main branch? Hanzan smirked. Not just the main branch. I forwarded it to Vice Commander Sung Minchuan and the Oversight Division too. Zru paled slightly, realizing the weight of Hanzan's words. But he tried to bluff. Once HQ finds out you're dead, they'll hit you with severe sanctions. But one of Zru's own aides stepped forward, nervous. Sir, HQ responded. They said this is an internal matter. Guardians must resolve it themselves. Zru scowled. And what about the Central Oversight Committee? They represent all major war zones. They replied too, the aide muttered. Said the youth who engaged in the battle has rare abilities. They even extended an invitation for him to join. Zru looked like he'd swallowed nails. What kind of bureaucratic circus is this? Realizing he had no choice, he turned back to Hanzan. Fine, what kind of apology do you want? Hanzan didn't hold back. My team risked everything. You stole the credit. So I want access to the Guardian treasury. I'll pick my own reward. Zru stiffened. That vault is reserved for approved personnel only. Then make me approved, Hanzan said flatly. Unless you'd rather everyone know you refused after what you did. Grinding his teeth, Zru relented. One condition, you go in alone. Whatever you take must be carried by your own 2 hands.
No snatching, no cheating.
Hanzan shrugged. Deal. But inside, he was already planning to walk out with more than Zru could imagine. Soon after, he stood at the entrance to the City Defense Organization's vault. Zru's aide asked if there was any risk of something going wrong. Zru only replied, "There's treasure in there worth more than most people's lives. And some of it isn't what it seems." Inside the vault of the City Defense Organization, Hanzan stepped into a treasure trove unlike any he had ever seen. His eyes widened with awe as rows upon rows of rare and powerful relics shimmered under the dim light. Most new recruits would have gotten lost in the overwhelming inventory, barely able to carry what they could in both hands, but Hanzan was no ordinary recruit. Thankfully, he had prepared. Armed with a treasure appraisal manual and detailed notes, he began scanning through the collection with purpose. He laid eyes on exotic and high-grade materials. Skeletal appendages from a Tier 3 Zerg ant, bone wings of a Tier 5 phantom butterfly Zerg, the mystical everwinter bloom, half-slumber branch grass, and even the reinforced shell of a Tier 6 wall crab. Each of these materials, he knew, held the potential to forge powerful defensive gear. And with the dimensional storage ring gifted by his master, Hanzan could absorb every valuable piece directly into his interdimensional compartment, bypassing the need to carry anything physically. An hour passed. Outside, Zhu stood impatiently and muttered, "What's taking him so long in there?" Just then, Hanzan casually exited the vault, empty-handed. His friend Xia approached, asking, "So, how did it go?" Inside the vault of the City Defense Organization, Hanzan stepped into a treasure trove unlike any he had ever seen. His eyes widened with awe as rows upon rows of rare and powerful relics shimmered under the dim light. Most new recruits would have gotten lost in the overwhelming inventory, barely able to carry what they could in both hands, but Hanzan was no ordinary recruit. Thankfully, he had prepared. Armed with a treasure appraisal manual and detailed notes, he began scanning through the collection with purpose. He laid eyes on exotic and high-grade materials. Skeletal appendages from a Tier 3 Zerg ant, bone wings of a Tier 5 phantom butterfly Zerg, the mystical everwinter bloom, half-slumber branch grass, and even the reinforced shell of a Tier 6 wall crab. Each of these materials, he knew, held the potential to forge powerful defensive gear. And with the dimensional storage ring gifted by his master, Hanzan could absorb every valuable piece directly into his interdimensional compartment, bypassing the need to carry anything physically. An hour passed. Outside, Zhu stood impatiently and muttered, "What's taking him so long in there?" Just then, Hanzan casually exited the vault, empty-handed. His friend Xia approached, asking, "So, how did it go?" "I'll fill you in later," he replied calmly. "Now that I've got what I came for, it's time to head home." Zhu and his men eyed the protagonist's empty hands and assumed he'd walked away with nothing. To be sure, Zhu called the administrator inside. "He didn't take anything, right?"
Zu asket.
The administrator chuckled. "Actually, he took quite a lot." Zhu's face twisted with irritation. "Even if he snagged a few items, I'll make sure every piece is returned." With interest. But then came the real shock. The administrator corrected him. "Captain, he didn't take just a few pieces. He took 50% of everything that was inside the vault."
Zus eyes bulged in disbelief.
That vault held the entire stockpile of our city's defensive organization. How the hell did he get away with that? If he had taken just one or two items, we could have covered it up quietly. But half? Does HQ know about this? "Already reported," the assistant said. "They've responded." Zhu growled. "And what did they say?" "They approved the transaction." Later that evening, back at home, Hanzan stretched out and smiled. Let's see if Zhu still has the nerve to act high and mighty after that. Suddenly, Xia Wei appeared by the door, a bit flustered. "It's getting late," she said. I was wondering if you wanted to sleep together tonight." Hanzan blinked, a bit surprised. "The house is big. Why here?" "I'm just scared of losing you," she confessed. "After what happened last time, I don't want to be away from you." Before he could respond, a third voice interrupted. "Who's making all this noise at night?" The two jumped, startled. Neither had realized someone else was home. Turning around, they found a girl standing in the hallway. "And you are?" Hanzan asked. The girl gave a casual wave. "Name's Li Lingzhen, granddaughter of the house owner. I've heard about you." Using his system, Hanzan analyzed her instantly. His jaw nearly dropped. She wasn't just anyone. She was a transcendental-level spirit contractor. And more than that, she was Shenending, one of the 10 ancient divine weapons. Lingzhen explained that in her humanoid form, she felt more comfortable, and it helped fuel her creativity. She was a successful web novel author and seemed to enjoy surprising people with her sudden appearances. Then she turned to Xiaowei and asked, "Are you going to finish what you were doing? Or should I step in?" Xia blushed furiously. "You just met me. How can you be so blunt? There's no emotional foundation." Lingzhen smirked. "You don't need emotion to form a contract." Xia's face turned bright red, realizing she had misunderstood completely. Amused, Hanzan chimed in, "If Xia has a divine-level talent, then forming a contract could help her awaken her second potential. That's worth trying." Excited by the idea, Xia immediately wanted to proceed. However, when Hanzan began the contract process, he noticed after successfully refining a batch of spiritual energy pills, Hanzan handed one to Lingzhen, praising her for how quickly she'd adapted to her role in the forge. "These pills," he explained, "boost spiritual energy by at least 1% with a single dose. That kind of gain is rare." Still flushed from the forging session, Lingzhen wiped the sweat from her brow and returned to her human form, only to smirk playfully. "There's still a bit of alchemy fire burning inside me," she teased. "So unless you want me to ignite everything around us, come help me extinguish it." Caught off guard, Hanzan stepped back nervously, waving his hands. "I think I'll pass on that. Xiaowei, maybe you can?" But even Xiaowei couldn't get Lingzhen to stop as she playfully clung to Hanzan. The room turned chaotic with her flirtatious antics, while Xia tried, unsuccessfully, to pry her away. Lingzhen, however, only got bolder, clearly enjoying herself. By the time dawn broke, Hanzan was utterly exhausted. Lying flat on his back, he groaned. Why did I think I could handle both of them at once?" Lingzhen, ever the trickster, chuckled. "You're far stronger than I expected. That was fun." Even Xiaowei, though flustered, admitted, "Your power seems much more refined now. This kind of exchange is clearly beneficial." Hanzan forced himself to sit up, brushing off the lingering fatigue. "We've got more important things to do. We still haven't located the remaining members of our squad, and I want to find out more about the erosion worm queen." Lingzhen perked up. "Someone went missing?" Xiaowei nodded and showed her a holographic photo. "This is Honging Wei, one of our best. She vanished during a mission." Lingzhen studied the image. "Wait, I think I've seen her before. That girl dances at the Neon Crescent Ballroom, the biggest dance club in the city." Hanzan's eyes lit up. "That's more than a clue, that's a lead. Lingzhen, you're amazing." Spritzing a faint mist around them, Hanzan told the others, "This spray neutralizes the scent that attracts erosion worms. We'll need it where we're going." Once inside the bustling, neon-lit club, Hanzan approached the bar and casually asked, "Do you know a dancer named Red Estelle?" The bartender froze. All music seemed to hush as everyone turned their attention to him. The bartender sighed, then rang a small bell. "That name," he said, "means you're covering everyone's drinks tonight." The club erupted in cheers. "What the?" Hanzan muttered. "What kind of messed up setup is this?" Apparently, someone had left a standing order. Anyone who mentioned Bayuan, or Red Estelle, was to be marked as the night sponsor. It was a trap. Still, Hanzan kept his cool. The bartender then produced a small box. "This was left here by a man who knew you'd come. He said to give it to you unopened." Inside, Hanzan found a folded note. He read it silently before repeating the message aloud. "The reproduction cycle started in February. There are now 7 parasitic worms." The girls frowned at the ominous update. Hanzan signaled for a quick bathroom break, telling the girls to wait. But just as he entered the restroom, a shadowy man followed behind him, mumbling, "I hate this stench." Before the man could strike, Hanzan reacted in a blur. One swift blow and the attacker collapsed. An eclipse zerg crawled out from his ear, its puppet now disabled. Hanzan calmly crushed the insect underfoot. Xia and Lingzhen burst in seconds later. "What happened?" "Just another parasite," Hanzan replied. "That makes 2 down. 5 more to go." Xia worried aloud. "If that's true, some of our squad mates could be hosts right now." Just then, another stranger lunged at Hanzan. But again, he dodged easily and dispatched the man with one brutal strike. The worm burst free and was instantly eliminated. Lingzhen asked, "Another Eclipse Zerg?" Before Hanzan could reply, Xia gasped, "Wait, I've seen that guy before. He works for Zhu." The implications hit Hanzan hard. Of course, they all trace back to Zhu. He's the common link. Meanwhile, far across the city, Zhu lounged in his lavish quarters, a smug smile on his face as he entertained company. That was, until the door exploded open. Fan stormed in like a hurricane, his face twisted in fury. You killed him and stole her rank as captain. You've been planting Eclipse Zergs into the most talented contractors to control them." Zhu barely looked fazed. "Im's long gone. You should be mourning in silence, not interrupting my evening." Fan clenched his fists. "I'm not here to mourn. I'm here for justice. I'll make you answer for every one of your crimes tonight." Zhu scoffed. "You should blame yourself. You lacked the resolve to protect her. Maybe you should have been stronger." His words only fueled Fan's rage. Zhu stood and snapped his fingers. Guards appeared, surrounding Fan. "Arrest him," Zhu ordered. "This lunatic just attacked a member of the Guardians. He's a criminal now." But Fan didn't back down. Not this time. And somewhere, Hanzan was already on his way, ready to bring the storm that would change everything. As Zhu's guards received the command to engage, they charged forward with confidence. But Fan was more than ready. He clenched his fists, activating his latent powers, and launched himself into the fight with raw determination. Before the battle could escalate further, a sudden burst of energy cut through the room. Hanzan had arrived, flanked by Xia Wei and Lingzhen. Even Fan looked surprised. "You actually came?" Hanzan gave a small smirk. "What? Did you really think picking a fight with the higher-ups alone was a good idea?" He turned his gaze to the surrounding enforcers. "This conflict is between me and Zhu. I suggest the rest of you stay out of it." But, of course, they didn't listen. The enemy charged, and Hanzan didn't hold back. Moving like a phantom between the guards, his attacks were swift, calculated, and devastating. One by one, they fell at his feet, outmatched, outpaced, and outclassed. Even Fan was stunned by how fast Hanzan dismantled the squad. But Zhu, sensing the tide had turned, tried to sneak away. "Oh no, you don't," Hanzan muttered, darting after him like a hawk zeroing in on its prey. In a flash, Hanzan slammed his fist into Zhu's back, sending him crashing to the ground with a painful grunt. From Zhu's collapsed form, an Eclipse Zerg wriggled free, attempting to escape. But Hanzan was faster. With a sharp flick of his fingers, a blade of condensed spiritual energy split the creature midair. It disintegrated instantly. Even so, Hanzan frowned. This wasn't the queen. "We're not done yet." Just as he caught his breath, more guards flooded in, surrounding him. It was a trap. Suddenly, the scene cut back to 30 minutes earlier. A secretary had entered the mayor's office to deliver some paperwork, only to find the mayor seated eerily still, his eyes clouded. An Eclipse Zerg twitched beneath his skin. She screamed, loud enough to echo through the building. Back in the present, Hanzan's instincts screamed danger. "We're leaving. Now." He turned to Xia and the others. "Find the master. I'll handle this mess." Xia protested. "You can't fight them all alone." "There's no time to argue," he snapped. "Go." Meanwhile, the mayor issued an official decree. Hanzan was to be arrested on suspicion of assassinating Captain Zuhuru. The bait had been taken, and the trap had been sprung. As Hanzan exited the facility, he was met by enforcers already in position. "You're under arrest for murder," one of them barked. "Kneel." Hanzan hesitated for a moment, calculating his odds. But outnumbered and surrounded, he complied for now. Elsewhere, Master Lichotam was having a private conversation with an old friend. "Why are you hiding in the shadows?" the master asked. His friend replied coldly, "You should be more worried. Your chosen heir has been arrested. The evidence is damning. He'll be publicly executed tomorrow." Lichotam raised a brow, unshaken. "You still don't understand, do you?" His friend narrowed his eyes. "You killed my quantum avatar. That won't change anything. Lawan Chan gave each of us an avatar for protection, and yet, here you are wasting yours." Licho simply chuckled. "I'm not the one who's underestimating the situation. You'll see." Just then, Lin Jinchuan arrived. "Master, shall I extract Hanzan?" Lichotam shook his head. "Let them play their little game. They've let corruption fester in the organization for too long. They think I won't respond? That I'd let them trap my disciple and do nothing?" His eyes hardened. "They're about to find out just how wrong they are." Back in the underground prison, Hanzan was shackled in reinforced chains, his body bruised and battered. A man stood before him, tall and cold, trying to force a confession. "I haven't killed anyone," Hanzan spat. The interrogator sneered. "You have two options. Join us, or be executed publicly tomorrow." Hanzan narrowed his eyes. "Join who?" "That's none of your concern," the man replied. "Just know that we represent the future. The Zerg are not enemies, they're resources. With the right control, they're powerful tools." Hanzan's voice sharpened. "You're the one who let the erosion worm that Iming uncovered slip back into the city. You let it infect others." The man didn't deny it. "Interpret it however you want. Evolution isn't always clean." "Then I'll choose option 3, Hanzan said, eyes burning. "I'll drag you straight to hell myself." The interrogator punched him hard, teeth clenched in rage. "You'll regret that." The following day, the city awoke to grim headlines. Public execution of traitor Hanzan scheduled for noon. Inside the government building, the mayor calmly reviewed the final arrangements. "Are the escapees from yesterday accounted for?" he asked. "Not yet," his aide admitted. "They likely fled to a nearby village." The mayor didn't look concerned. "Keep searching." Privately, he wondered, why is that boy so calm? He's about to die. Does he really believe someone will save him? Outside, a massive crowd had gathered. Murmurs spread quickly. "Isn't that the kid who awakened to rank SSS? Why is he being executed?" And as Hanzan was led to the platform, bound but standing tall, the whispers grew louder. The city held its breath, unaware that this was only the beginning of a far greater storm. Just as the tension reached its peak, the mayor finally made his appearance, shocking the crowd with his presence. Everyone went silent as he took center stage. With a composed yet manipulative voice, he began spinning lies about Hanzan, twisting facts and reshaping narratives, to justify the public execution of someone who had once been hailed as a hero. Backed by his political clout and years of influence, the mayor's words quickly sowed doubt among the citizens. He spoke of betrayal, danger, and control, manipulating the fears of the crowd. The public began to murmur amongst themselves, their confusion growing. Believing the momentum was his, the mayor signaled for the execution to proceed. The executioner stepped forward, activating the guillotine. The sharp blade glinted in the sun as it descended rapidly toward Hanzan's neck. But just before impact, the mechanism jolted and stopped midair, blocked by an unseen force. The blade hovered mere inches from Hanzan's throat. Gasps erupted across the square. The operator frantically checked the machinery, suspecting a malfunction. The mayor's face darkened with fury. "Who's responsible for this sabotage?" From the crowd, a calm but powerful voice rang out. "That would be me." All eyes turned to a woman standing at the front of the audience. It was Sting, a well-known merchant in the city. "Hanzan saved me once," she declared firmly, "and I won't let a man like him be executed without justice." The mayor narrowed his eyes. Sting, you're involved in this farce. But before he could order her removal, more voices rose from the crowd. Members of Hanzan's squad stepped forward, followed by others from the city, ordinary citizens, warriors, even some officials, all speaking out in Hanzan's defense. Meanwhile, in another location, Master Lichotam stood watching a distant screen. His old friend smirked beside him. Looks like your disciple's execution is underway. A shame it marks your defeat. But Lichotam remained calm. The game's not over. It's far too soon to declare a winner. As his friend walked away, a message came through Licho's communicator. Sir, he vanished too quickly. We weren't able to get a lock on his exact location. Licho glanced toward his aide, Shang. Any insight? Shang shook his head. If I did, I wouldn't be helping your disciple. But I've heard rumors about an anonymous reporting channel infiltrating the organization. They call themselves Dawn. Back at the execution site, the crowd buzzed with uncertainty. Who dares sabotage a penal colony's sentence? If merchants are getting involved, this is bigger than we thought. Sting raised her voice once more. You were all misled by the mayor. Hanzan is no criminal. He's a servant of the people. A massive screen lit up, showing clips from Hanzan's achievements. His record-breaking evaluation at the academy, his heroics during missions, his repeated efforts to protect the city. The crowd watched in silence, their perception slowly shifting. Sting pointed at the footage. Does this man look like a traitor to you? Before the crowd could rally fully behind her, a familiar face shoved his way through, the same man who had tortured Hanzan in prison. He barked, "Silence! The execution will proceed, no matter what any of you say." He raised his hand and summoned a blazing hand of spiritual fire, aimed directly at Hanzan. But just as the flaming palm launched forward, something invisible struck the man square in the chest. He stumbled backward, gasping for air, unable to comprehend what had just hit him. Only one person saw what truly happened. Sting, eyes wide, whispered under her breath, "Master Lichotam." Furious, the mayor stepped onto the stage himself. "You think anyone can save you now, boy?" He growled, charging forward. But Hanzan had already stood, sensing that his master was nearby. Calmly, he dodged the mayor's attacks, which only enraged the man further. This time, however, Hanzan didn't just avoid. He retaliated. With a clean, precise blow, he struck the mayor square in the chest, sending him flying backward. The impact was so strong it knocked him unconscious. Then something horrific happened. Crawling out from the mayor's head was an eclipse Zerg, writhing and screeching. Hanzan didn't hesitate. He stomped on the parasite, crushing it beneath his heel. The crowd gasped. Hanzan stood tall. This creature has been distorting. Just as the tension reached its peak, the mayor finally made his appearance, shocking the crowd with his presence. Everyone went silent as he took center stage. With a composed yet manipulative voice, he began spinning lies about Hanzan, twisting facts and reshaping narratives, to justify the public execution of someone who had once been hailed as a hero. Backed by his political clout and years of influence, the mayor's words quickly sowed doubt among the citizens. He spoke of betrayal, danger, and control, manipulating the fears of the crowd. The public began to murmur amongst themselves, their confusion growing. Believing the momentum was his, the mayor signaled for the execution to proceed. The executioner stepped forward, activating the guillotine. The sharp blade glinted in the sun as it descended rapidly toward Hanzan's neck. But just before impact, the mechanism jolted and stopped midair, blocked by an unseen force. The blade hovered mere inches from Hanzan's throat. Gasps erupted across the square. The operator frantically checked the machinery, suspecting a malfunction. The mayor's face darkened with fury. Who's responsible for this sabotage? From the crowd, a calm but powerful voice rang out. That would be me. All eyes turned to a woman standing at the front of the audience. It was Sting, a well-known merchant in the city. Hanzan saved me once, she declared firmly. And I won't let a man like him be executed without justice. The mayor narrowed his eyes. Sting, you're involved in this farce. But before he could order her removal, more voices rose from the crowd. Members of the sudden offensive unleashed by General Wei Qin shattered the front lines of the Serpent clan, catching them entirely off guard. However, the chaos didn't last long. For 8th rank Serpent Emperors emerged from the shadows, surrounding the general in a titanic clash of divine powers. The battlefield turned into a storm of destruction as both sides fought with savage fury. Meanwhile, orders from the Second War Zone rolled in. Through the use of spiritual contract seers, they had pinpointed the locations of serpent nest pockets. The directive was clear. Squads nearest to these hotspots were to eliminate them immediately. Hanzan's team had been trekking for some time across a scorched canyon when he noticed something peculiar up ahead. Something massive and strange. "What is that?" he asked. Xiao, the unit's captain, narrowed his eyes. "A serpent's molted skin. Every time they rank up, they shed." Hanzan's expression darkened. "That's not good. These snakes. They nest inside their own discarded skins." Xiao's face paled. "That skin's over 6,000 meters long. That's not just any shedding. That is the nest. Millions of eggs. All inside." Before they could process the implications, a terrible noise filled the air, thin, sharp, and grating. The sound of eggs cracking open. Hundreds, no thousands. A devastating sonic wave burst forth, powerful enough to send Zhao's mecha suit flying like a paperweight. But Hanzan reacted instantly. Without hesitation, he charged forward and caught the heavy mech midair, digging his feet into the ground and throwing it upward, straight back to the top of the ridge. Xiao landed, stunned. He caught a full mech and threw it. What is this kid made of? The others were just as shocked. There's no way he survived that fall. But Hanzan's voice echoed from below. "I'm alive, you know. Just give me a hand up." They scrambled to help him back up, relief washing over them. Xiao scolded him. "You don't get to sacrifice yourself without permission. We're here to complete the mission, not play hero." "Got it," Hanzan said with a smirk, brushing dust off his armor. But their break was short-lived. All across the ridge, newly hatched snakelings slithered out from the shredded eggshells. Swarms of them, ready to kill. "They're everywhere," shouted Kishi. Xiao turned pale. "Get ready. This isn't over." The snakes lunged. Their small size made them fast, too fast. In seconds, they surrounded the group. "I'll hold them off," said Xiao, stepping forward to draw their attention. "You'll die," cried Shakian. Hanzan clenched his jaw and activated a radiant field around himself using the artifact ring gifted by his master. A dome of shimmering golden energy enveloped him, and the moment the snakes entered its radius, they froze, paralyzed, completely immobile. "What? What did you just do?" Xiao stammered, amazed. "I used a suppression relic," Hanzan replied calmly. "The aura mimics a serpent emperor's presence. Burn them, now." Xiao wasted no time. Flames roared from his mecha's cannons, engulfing the nest in a pillar of fire visible for miles. The screeches of burning serpents echoed into the distance as smoke billowed skyward. Once the fire dimmed, Xiao stepped forward, armor scorched but intact. "That's most of them, I think." Still panting, he turned to Hanzan. "You're telling me you're just a level 3 contract master?" Hanzan simply smiled. But the reprieve was short-lived. Zhao's onboard HUD blared with a new alert. "We're not done," he said grimly. "New nest detected. Reinforcements inbound." A flicker of movement on the horizon caught their attention. "Another serpent commander," Xiao muttered. "Rank 5. It's Zanag." The massive snake towered above the distant trees, eyes glowing crimson. The sheer pressure it radiated made even the ground shudder. "We need to fall back," Hanzan commanded. "Now." Xiao drew his weapon. "Go. I'll hold it off." He didn't wait for their response. He launched forward, clashing directly with the beast. "No!" shouted Hanzan. He could see it happening. The creature coiling around Zhao's mech, jaws widening to strike. In a desperate bid to protect his team, Xiao broke his mecha open and ejected at the last second, falling through the air like a broken star. Hanzan watched it all unfold in slow motion. The others turned in horror, but before the snake could devour them too, a barrier flared to life. For a moment, the team was safe, thanks to the enchanted armor Hanzan had gifted them earlier. But the relief was fleeting. The serpent spat venom, and in seconds the shield melted away. The toxic spray splashed against two of the soldiers. Their screams cut the air. Armor and flesh alike dissolved under the acidic venom. And the monster was just getting started. The moment Hanzan witnessed his teammates being dissolved by the serpent's venom, rage ignited within him. His eyes widened in disbelief, and for a brief second, time seemed to stop. But he didn't have the luxury to grieve. The monstrous serpent had chosen him as its next target. Fueled by fury, Hanzan unlocked his full potential. He dodged the serpent's lunging strike with newfound agility and summoned his enchanted harp. A gust of protective wind circled around him as he played a defensive chord, shielding himself from another venomous barrage. However, the beast wasn't done. It launched a high-speed projectile that pierced through his wind barrier and slammed him into the ground. Groaning, Hanzan admitted he had underestimated the beast's power. Just as the serpent slithered in for the final blow, a gleaming blade pierced through the sky, striking it squarely in the head. The massive snake screeched in pain and recoiled. Hanzan looked up, stunned. A woman was approaching, calm and confident, her presence as commanding as her attack. The mysterious savior introduced herself as Gong Wang Jin, a high-ranking warrior from the infamous Exile Island, also known as the City of Ultimate Sin. Hanzan had heard of it, a place shunned by every nation, where the outcasts and rule-breakers gathered, following no laws but their own. With a smirk, Gong Jin told him he was her type, but warned not to call her ma'am again. Through his analysis, Hanzan recognized her as a rank 8 Valkyrie, an elite force rarely seen on the front lines. Gong Jin, impressed by his earlier sonic ability, claimed his music sent shockwaves through her body, as if she could have punched the serpent herself. She immediately tried to recruit him into her personal squad. But Hanzan refused. "My mission isn't done," he said firmly. Gong Jin wasn't pleased. She asked if he, a mere rank 3, really planned to defy her. He responded that he would rather die than abandon his responsibility. With a laugh, Gong Jin asked what he wanted in exchange for coming with her. Hanzan thought for a moment, this could be an opportunity. "I'll go, if you help me eliminate the Zerg nest and the serpent Zanag." To his surprise, Gong Jin agreed without hesitation. As they strategized, something shifted in the air. Gong Jin suddenly gripped her back in pain. "It's happening again," she muttered. Her expression twisted in agony. A wave of dark aura surged from her body. Hanzan immediately recognized it. This wasn't just pain. She was losing control. Possessed. Without delay, he strummed his harp, releasing healing frequencies laced with ancient purification magic. The dark energy hissed and evaporated. Gong Jin's body trembled, and slowly, the corruption began to vanish. She fell to one knee, gasping, free from the influence. "How did you do that?" she asked. Hanzan explained that he used Qin's dust, a rare medicinal compound with potent purifying and regenerative properties. Gong Jin confessed the truth. She had been wounded by a 9th-rank Emperor Zerg, a creature called Nightmare. Its venom left an imprint inside her, capable of taking over her mind and turning her into a weapon. As she teased him for treating her wound so boldly, Hanzan ignored her sarcasm and focused on fully purging the infection using his contract-based creation magic. The healing worked. Her body stabilized, her spirit cleared. "You're full of surprises," Gong Jin whispered. "Do you really have 2 spirit companions right now?" Rather than answering, Hanzan finished the treatment. She smiled, oddly pleased by the sensations of the healing. "Can I feel that again sometime?" she asked flirtatiously. Hanzan rolled his eyes. "Not unless you bring me another entire horde of Zerg corpses and energy cores." To which she casually responded, Is a Zanag serpent enough? With their objective now in sight, Hanzan and Gong Wang Jin advanced toward the enemy lines. Surveillance drones hovered overhead, scanning the terrain. One operator's voice crackled through the comms. "We've got movement." Massive numbers of serpents advancing from the east sector. Inside the war room, the tension grew thick. The district commanders, monitoring the operation from a high-level control center, immediately recognized the threat. Lin Jinchuan narrowed his eyes and spoke with urgency. "Their speed is unnatural. We'll need elite forces on the ground immediately. Dispatch the 8th Combat Division. They're best suited for this type of engagement." Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Hanzan turned to Gong Jin with gratitude. "Thanks for backing me up," he said. She waved him off with a grin. "You kidding? I haven't even broken a sweat yet." But Hanzan's expression turned serious. "Let me go first. I need to test something." Before she could respond, he charged straight toward the swarm of serpents, blades of wind swirling around him. Gong Jin watched with amusement. "He really is fearless," she muttered. "Reckless, but fearless." High above, the drone continued its live feed to the central command. The officers inside were astonished. "Why is he charging in alone?" someone asked aloud. Back with their objective now in sight, Hanzan and Gong Wang Jin advanced toward the enemy lines. Surveillance drones hovered overhead, scanning the terrain. One operator's voice crackled through the comms. "We've got movement." Massive numbers of serpents advancing from the east sector. Inside the war room, the tension grew thick. The district commanders, monitoring the operation from a high-level control center, immediately recognized the threat. Lin Jinchuan narrowed his eyes and spoke with urgency. "Their speed is unnatural. We'll need elite forces on the ground immediately. Dispatch the 8th Combat Division. They're best suited for this type of engagement." Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Hanzan turned to Gong Jin with gratitude. "Thanks for backing me up," he said. She waved him off with a grin. "You kidding? I haven't even broken a sweat yet." But Hanzan's expression turned serious. "Let me go first. I need to test something." Before she could respond, he charged straight toward the swarm of serpents, blades of wind swirling around him. Gong Jin watched with amusement. "He really is fearless," she muttered. "Reckless, but fearless." High above, the drone continued its live feed to the central command. The officers inside were astonished. "Why is he charging in alone?" someone asked aloud. Back on the ground, Hanzan's real goal wasn't just to slay serpents. It was to push himself. He was attempting to awaken the 8th gate of urgency, one of the most perilous martial thresholds. But the sheer number of serpents made it impossible to concentrate. Soon, they closed in from all sides, cutting off every route of escape. Gong Jin, watching from afar, immediately understood the danger. Like a bolt of lightning, she streaked into battle, her massive blade slicing through the serpentine horde with ruthless efficiency. Hanzan, momentarily stunned, shouted a quick thanks, but still refused to retreat. "I've still got more to give," he declared, eyes burning with willpower. Gong Jin stared at him in disbelief. "You really don't know how to back down, do you?" Without hesitation, Hanzan unlocked his 3rd power gate, unleashing a torrent of force that rocked the battlefield. The earth quaked beneath him as he struck down the serpents with explosive, sonic-enhanced power. Even Gong Jin, an experienced rank 8 warrior, was impressed by the sheer intensity of his aura. Not to be outdone, she rejoined the battle, and together, they turned the blood-soaked ground into a graveyard for Zerg serpents. Back in the command center, one of the officers leaned forward. "Who is that woman fighting beside him?" Lin Jinchuan immediately recognized her. "That's Gong Wang Jin, rank 8. As time passed and the crisp winds of autumn began sweeping through the city, Hanzan found himself once again at the heart of a critical meeting with his master and trusted companions. The setting sun painted the skies orange outside the window as Master Licho Tom turned to Hanzan and asked, "Do you and your team intend to push forward to spiritual contract level 3 after the corrosive worm incident?" Without hesitation, Hanzan nodded. "Yes, that's the plan," he said. "And not just me. Lin Zhen has also broken through to level 3, finally matching the rest of the team's progress. And Xiaowei, too, has made major strides forward. To Hanzan's surprise, the merchant girl Sting had joined the meeting as well. "Hey, what about me?" she teased. "You should really consider forming a contract with me." But Hanzan shook his head gently. "I only contract with those who've awakened divine resonance," he said. "Spirits with godhood. Ones that can truly support me in the war against the Zerg." Sting pouted, half-jokingly. "Then I'll just have to awaken a divine spirit myself. Just you wait." With a chuckle, Lichotam brought the conversation back to the serious matter. "Once you break through to level 3, the rear zone cities will no longer offer you any valuable training," he warned. "Have you decided what to do next?" Hanzan's eyes sharpened with resolve. "I'll forge my own path forward. I want to grow stronger, strong enough to carve a way through this apocalypse with nothing but my own power." Satisfied, the master nodded. "In that case, I'll arrange for your deployment to the front lines. A plane will take you to the Great Xia battlefield, but you'll go alone. Contracted spirits train differently than contractors, and I have other plans for your team." Though the front lines were entrenched in brutal conflict, particularly with the first war zone clashing against monstrous Zerg breeds, Hanzan accepted without hesitation. Far from the comfort of rear cities, the Great Xia battlefield was a living hell. Roars of artillery echoed across the scorched terrain. Soldiers screamed as medics rushed to carry off the wounded. Mika units soared overhead, launching missiles into dense Zerg swarms. Within this chaos, one man named Xiao was barking orders. "Where the hell is Shuya? He went to retrieve replacements and hasn't returned." "He only lost 3 out of 5 from his squad," another muttered. "He should be ashamed to call for backup." But a sharp voice interjected. "Shut it. He's elite, not like us." Just then, the deep whir of rotors approached from the horizon. A helicopter hovered over the battlefield and descended near their post. From it stepped a young man, calm, confident, and dressed in clean, well-maintained combat gear. "I'm Hanzan," he said, straightening his back. "The new recruit." The squad turned toward him, visibly unimpressed. Xiao narrowed his eyes. "Where's your contracted spirit?" "Stayed home," Hanzan said with a grin. "Thought I'd handle this one solo." Xiao frowned. "This isn't a tea party. This is a battlefield. If you're planning to die here, at least try to be useful before you do." Another soldier scoffed. "He's probably just another spoiled city brat, looking to play war hero." Xiao shoved him forward. "Fine. He's your problem now. Take him." But the soldier shook his head. "You already called dibs on the rookie, remember? Don't try to back out now." Annoyed, Xiao finally relented. "Follow me. I'll introduce you to your new team." Inside the barracks, Hanzan met his new unit. Xiao formally welcomed him and introduced the rest. Fong, Kishi, and the mischievous yet charming Shakian. Shakian's eyes lit up when she saw Hanzan. "Oh, fresh blood. Help me out of my coat, will you?" Hanzan, ever polite, assisted her without complaint. "Such a gentleman," she smiled. "Tell me, why didn't you bring your spirit?" Instead of answering directly, Hanzan reached into his dimensional ring, a storage artifact given by his master, and pulled out several gleaming artifacts. High-grade armor, rare equipment, and utility gear. "These are for the team," he said casually, handing them out. Fong and Kishi were stunned. "You're really giving us this?" "Sure," Hanzan replied. "Consider it a gift." Only Xiao refused. "I don't need armor," he said coldly. "I fight in a mech. Armor's useless to me." Shakian whispered to Hanzan, "Don't take it personally. He's complicated. Used to have a contracted spirit but lost it in the war. Since then, he's thrown himself into battle." Xiao soon returned with the mission file. "Enough talk. Time to earn your keep." The mission briefing was grim. "We're tasked with Operation Blue Extinction," Xiao said. "It concerns the Isawi, also called the Serpent clan. According to intel, this particular Zerg subspecies had an insane reproduction rate. Their reinforcements outpaced human birth rates by over 10,000 to 1. Despite the First War Zone's best efforts, they had been locked in a brutal stalemate for months. Neither side could gain the upper hand. That was until one man tipped the balance, Wei Qin, the legendary general of the First War Zone. With a single strike from his divine fist, he tore through the Serpent clan's reinforcement channels, skyrocketing their death ratio to an astonishing 100,000 to 1. Even Hanzan was taken aback by that number. These weren't mere monsters. They were a multiplying plague, and the battlefield was about to become his new proving ground.